You are welcome to today's program. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear you.
You can unmute so that I know you can hear me.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Yes, sir.
I can hear. I can hear you, sir.
That's great. That's great. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
People are still crawling in. We are only 10 people now. But we need to start because everything is time bound.
Mm.
Are there some people from Nigeria? Anybody from Nigeria?
I'm from Nigeria, but I'm not presently in Nigeria, sir.
Where are you?
I'm in America at the moment, but
Okay.
I'm Nigerian.
Yes. Martin Santana from Nigeria.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody from any other country?
From Senegal, sir.
Senegal. Hey, Paul.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
You are welcome. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other person from another country?
Other Nigerians will join. I think they forgot. I'm just reminding them, those that were in the class last week.
I see.
So they will soon join.
Yeah. Okay. You are welcome. We have to start. Those who will join, and those who are not able will get it on the YouTube. Last week we started by categorizing some plants and other inputs into the farming technique. Remember, we captioned it CAMP-AGGAMMAL strategy for small-scale farming.
Mm.
And we went through everything, what each letter stood for.
Mm.
And I want us to remind ourselves of what each letter stood for. And then we go into some depths today about how to get the materials, how to apply them, and the different systems of farming. So I want to give a little exercise for some of us who were there last week. CAMP-AGGAMMAL. What does the C stand for? Let's be very fast about the revision. CAMP-AGGAMMAL. What does the first C stand for? You have your notes? Nobody?
It is rotolaria.
Crotalaria. Mm-hmm. What does the A stand for?
Acacia.
Acacia. ACACIA. What does the M stand for? The M. Moringa. Thank you. What does the P stand for?
Can I still go on and answer?
Yeah, answer.
Pueraria.
Pueraria. Okay, that's good. That is the camp. Now the AGGAMMAL. What does the A stand for?
Ash, is it?
Ash. Wood ash, yeah. What does the first G stand for?
It's granite dust.
Granite dust. That's good. What does the second G stand for? Yes. Somebody is trying to say it.
The second G. The second G is Gliricidia.
Say it.
Gliricidia.
Gliricidia, correct? Gliricidia. Okay, that's the second G. What does the second A stand for? What?
Ageratum also, goat wheat.
Ageratum, correct? Goatweed. All right. What does the M stand for? There's an M after the A. What does it stand for?
For manure.
Manure, correct? The second M?
Mukuna.
Correct. What does the other A stand for? Yes.
Azadirakta
Yes, Azadirakta, neem.
Yes.
Neem,
Neem.
the neem tree. All right. Now there's an L that ends everything. What does it stand for? Yes.
Is it
Lucania.
Yeah, Lucina. 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 All right. Now, repetition is a good teaching method because if you don't grasp the foundation, the building cannot stand. If you are not familiar with the inputs, then you will get confused. You won't know what to do. So let me just, for the sake of those who have not grasped it, let me just quickly repeat. Those things are plants and other materials that are necessary as inputs in small-scale farming where you want to produce organic food, healthy food, without using artificial chemicals. That is the whole, the whole idea of producing healthy food on a small scale for a family. This is to help to solve, the scarcity of food in Africa and other tropical nations. And we want to make it as simple as possible. Now, you who are listening to me are the elite, the educated people who can pass down the knowledge to other people at the grassroots, at the rural areas. So if you don't grasp it very well, then the people in the grassroots cannot be helped because they are surrounded with all these materials I have mentioned, but they don't know them and they don't know how to use them. So I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Last week, we were able to show the photographs, the pictures, the images of the different plants. I don't know whether we will be able to do it today, but let me describe each one of those things in some detail. Crotalaria is a very small leguminous plant. Now let me spell that crotalaria for those who didn't get it. Crotalaria, crotalaria. There are so many species of crotalaria, but you just get that crotalaria. The one which is most common has a specific name, retusa, R-E-T-U-S-A, crotalaria retusa, R-E-T-U-S-A. It's a small leguminous plant with beautiful yellow flowers at the top. When the fruit is ripe, it's a small brown pod containing many shiny brown seeds, and children play with the pod. They just shake it, and it makes a shaky, shaky, shaky sound. What I can do is for you to go to the internet later or right now, and then look at the image. You have to do some little research yourself. Say image, crotalaria retusa, and the images will come out. That will help you to identify it. You can do that right now. So that is crotalaria. It's a leguminous plant, and it's an input to provide nitrogen or nitrates to the soil for plant growth. The A, which is acacia in the camp, acacia is a small tree or a shrub, and it is found mainly in the savanna areas, in the Sahel. It grows very well in very dry places. It's an evergreen tree, deep-rooted, and is able to provide even green leaves for farm animals when other plants, have dried up. It's a nitrogen fixer, just like that crotalaria. It's a leguminous plant. Goats and sheep eat the leaves. So it's also a good input on the farm where it exists, and it's particularly useful for savanna area and very dry places. We will learn how it fixes nitrogen for plants, crops. The A in camp is acacia. The M that follows is moringa. Now, moringa has become very popular, particularly in West Africa and East Africa. It grows very well in all tropical areas around the world. It's an evergreen plant, and it grows very fast. The leaves fall off very easily to the ground, and can become wonderful, manure. Compost, rather. Compost to the soil. It supplies every nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and all the minerals that are needed by the soil. But its main purpose in the formula is not to provide.
Hello? Please, I can't hear anything. No.
You can't hear? Hello?
Is muted again. Madam Antonia Ajayi, you might need to sign out and sign back in because we are hearing, so it will be your connection.
Yeah. Tonya? Hello? She's not hearing.
She's muted. She's muted. Madam, you are muted. Open your microphone.
Dr. King.
Yeah, she's muted. Dr. Atanda also is muted.
I'm muted so that I can avoid noise. That's why I'm muted.
Oh, okay. All right, but I want it to be interactive,
Oh.
I was on Moringa.
Yes, sir.
Now, Moringa is included in the formula not only to serve as fertilizer, but mainly to serve as wonderful medicine. Moringa is called the miracle tree. And it is rich in all the minerals and the vitamins the body needs. So it's one very wonderful plant for the family. Particularly, it is good for children's nutrition. And it's one of the plants that has been used to check child mortality. Yeah. When it is added to the food of children, they become very strong. The immune system is built up. And that has saved so many millions of children in Africa. It grows very easily. You can just put the stick, a branch of the tree in the ground, and that is all.
Yeah.
Within days, it will just, sprout.
Okay.
We are going to learn how it is used in the farm. It's a very wonderful tree. So that's moringa. And you can plant the seed. You can plant the seed. You can also, plant the stick. You can plant it like how we plant cassava. The seed is also useful as medicine. All right. The P, pueraria, the P for camp, the P is pueraria. Pueraria. Now, pueraria is a leguminous creeper. It creeps on the ground. And it's going to be used as a cover crop. As a cover crop, it will prevent weeds from growing on the farm, but the root will be supplying nitrogen to the soil as fertilizer. The leaves will fall to the ground and also cause complete fertilizer.
I hear.
It is able to aerate the soil. It is able to preserve water in the soil. It is particularly useful as a cover crop in a place where you plant trees, fruit trees, like oranges, tangerines, mangoes, avocado, so that the ground is completely covered and you don't need to hire labor for weeding. You can use it for corn, you can use it for cassava, you can use it for guinea corn, anything that can stand tall so that it covers the ground. There are other plants, leguminous plants, that are like that. And I mentioned last week, I mentioned centrosema. Centrosema. When you write these things down, go to the internet and see the image.
Okay.
Centrosema is CENTROSEMA. 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 The second name of centrosema is pubescens. 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 Centrosema pubescens. It's a beautiful plant with pinkish flowers. Now, the leaves of these two plants are very edible to animals. So you see, they don't only serve as a cover crop or weed killers, they serve as fodder for farm animals like goats, sheep, cattle, rabbits. That's CAMP. AGGAMMAL. AGGAMMAL. The A is for ash. I mentioned last week that when you cut a field, it is good for you to allow the weeds to dry, and then you set fire to it. Everything will become ash. That ash is mainly potassium with other trace minerals. But there are other things you can get potassium from in the farm. Things like the peelings of plantain, the peelings of bananas. You don't throw anything away, collect them. And then anything you get from the firewood in the kitchen. In the rural areas, they cook with firewood. Instead of throwing away the ash, you can collect the ash, put everything in a bag, and use on the small farm. That's very good fertilizer. So it's like recycling things. Byproducts on the farm become useful as fertilizer. Wood ash. Aggammal. The G stands for granite. Many of you must have been familiar with granite from quarries where they crush, rocks for road construction. Yeah, as a byproduct of the crushing of the rocks, there's a lot of dust left. That dust is what we call granite dust. A little of that granite dust can fertilize quite a large land. You just broadcast it, scatter it over the land, and when it rains, gradually, the phosphate inside the granite will dissolve into the soil and will be available for the plant that is growing. So that's a very easy way of getting phosphate. But another way of getting phosphate is from bones. All the rats eating in the home, rabbits eating, goats eating, sheep eating, cows eating, all the bones. Don't throw them away. Gather them together and set fire to the bones. The ashes that will be left will be mainly phosphate.
Okay.
Just again scatter the ash on the plot. Incorporate it into the soil, and that is your phosphate. No harm done. So you have granite. Then the second G is gliricidia. Gliricidia is a very, very simple plant, very common all over West Africa. Gliricidia, Gliricidia. Gliricidia. Gliricidia pinnata. Pinnata. Gliricidia pinnata. It grows very, very fast. And it's a very good fodder for farm animals. It's a nitrogen fixer. It will produce nitrates and nitrites into the soil from the atmosphere. We will discuss in detail how it is done. The Yorubas call it agumaniye because it grows very fast. Some of those nitrogen fixing plants I'm mentioning, like Gliricidia, can be used as a fence, live fence on a farm. So that's another advantage of it, because it's evergreen. Those plants don't die easily. That's the second G. The A that follows the G in Aggamal is Ageratum. 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 The second name is a bit difficult. It's Conizoides. Conyzoides. Conizoides. Ageratum conizoides. Goatweed. It's a very small, sun-loving plant, usually growing by the roadside or abandoned field. It has whitish, hairy flower at the top, and the flower belongs to a family we call Asteraceae. That's the sunflower family, sunflower family. It's an input in farming mainly because it's a very good pesticide. A good pesticide, and it's not poisonous to man. In fact, it is medicine for man. We will learn about that later. It's easily available, easily. The Yorubas call it imiesu. Imiesu. The English name is goatweed. That's Ageratum. The M in Aggamal, the first M, stands for manure. We are going to deal with mixed farming very soon. Mixed farming is what is really recommended for a family. In mixed farming, you have both animals and plants growing together. Now, the animals have their droppings. Chicken have their droppings. Goats have their droppings. Sheep have their droppings. Rabbits have their droppings. If you have a cow, the cow has its droppings. Those droppings have come mainly from eating vegetables and plant parts. And they are very rich in nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, and other minerals needed by the soil for plant growth. So when you collect those and you make manure from those, you are recycling what has come from the farm back into the farm. So you are making the soil naturally fertile. On the other hand, the animals themselves can be allowed to feed on byproducts in the farm. They just, move around in the farm, eating some leaves, eating some insects, eating some seeds, all types of things in the farm. Whilst they are eating, they are also defecating and giving droppings to the farm. So as they walk about, they are fertilizing the soil. Nothing is being wasted. So this is organic fertilizer. Manure is a complete fertilizer. It contains nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals. So your plants will grow in a healthy way, and your food on your table will be healthy. The second M stands for mucuna. Mucuna is another creeping plant. It's a leguminous plant. It will fix nitrogen. So it's a weed killer, herbicide. You avoid spending money on weeding when you plant it on the farm. We will learn how to plant it and how it goes with other crops. The A that follows M is Azadirachta, the neem tree.
Okay.
The neem tree is one of the best pesticides in the world. The leaf is a pesticide. The seed or small fruit is a pesticide. The bark of the tree is a pesticide. Now, this is because all those parts contain a very complex organic compound that is effective in knocking down many insects and parasites. Another additional thing is that it's also medicinal. So it's good medicine for a rural family, particularly against malaria and all types of infections and skin diseases. So it is in the formula because it's a pesticide and it's also medicinal. Another good thing is that if you use the powder or the leaves on the soil and incorporate it, some dangerous worms that can destroy crops are destroyed. We will soon learn how to prepare the pesticides themselves. So we have mentioned two things that are pesticides now: Ageratum conizoides and Azadirachta. Azadirachta indica. Azadirachta, Azadirachta. Azadirachta. Then second name is indica, Indica. Azadirachta indica.
Hello, sir. I'm typing as you're spelling in the chat box in case people have.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
The names are and their properties are in the chat box. If you
Yeah,
need
thank
it.
you. Now, the L that ends the formula is leucina. Leucaena. Leucaena. It's a leguminous shrub, a small tree. It will fix nitrogen. Like Leucidia, it will fix nitrogen. Like acacia, it will fix nitrogen. Those are small trees. all of them fixed nitrogen, and all of them are evergreen, and all of them are food for small animals on the farm. We will soon find out why those trees are included in the formula.
Mhm.
Goats particularly can live on any one of those three trees I have mentioned: acacia, gliricidia, and lucina. They can live on only one of them throughout the year,
Mhm.
completely, without addition of anything. Because you see, the four stomachs in the goat are able to prepare amino acids, proteins, and so on from what they eat from those plants, and they just survive.
Mm.
Now, these are experiments we have done many years back. I participated in those experiments at the University of Ife, Awolowo University. So they are inputs that can help the local farmer to gain a lot. All right. Are we clear about the names now for the different letters?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Now let's categorize them very well. Let's categorize those inputs. Let's get it clear. The main inputs are fertilizers, one, herbicides, two, pesticides, three. Fertilizers are to help the plants, the crops to grow healthy and be productive. Herbicides are to keep away weeds so that there's no competition or sharp competition between weeds and the crops. Pesticides are to keep away insects particularly and other pests like fungi and so on and so forth, so that the crops may grow healthy and be more productive, so that they don't have diseases. So now we are going to categorize all those inputs into three major groups: pesticides, fertilizers, and herbicides. The fourth thing we will categorize them into is medicine, herbal medicine in the formula. Okay, let's start with fertilizers. Under fertilizers, there are three main fertilizers: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Which ones of these inputs are nitrogen suppliers?
Hmm.
That's what we want to discuss right now. I want you to be very careful about this. Nitrogen is very, very, very essential for plant growth and productivity. At the same time, because of the heat in tropical lands, nitrogen is easily destroyed in the soil. Therefore, to retain nitrogen in the soil, you need many sources of nitrogen. So in this formula, there are many of the plants that provide nitrogen so that the soil is rich in nitrogen. Now, we are going to make a list of all that supply nitrogen. Crotalaria, acacia, moringa, pueraria, gliricidia, manio, mucuna, lucina.
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat the last one, sir?
Lucina,
Okay, thank you, sir.
that's the L.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Now, all the plants I have mentioned are leguminous plants apart from moringa. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All of them are nitrogen fixing leguminous plants. Now, I said moringa will also supply nitrogen because when the leaves fall to the ground, they actually supply nitrogen, phosphorus,
Okay.
and potassium.
Okay.
If you like, you may not include moringa in the list, but that, I said it because it actually supplies some nitrogen.
Okay.
It supplies nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, because the leaves get rotten and everything gets incorporated in the soil.
Okay.
Now, among the nitrogen fixing plants, which we have mentioned, you tell me right now, by looking at your list, how many are shrubs or small trees?
Oh.
You can unmute and tell me. How many are small trees, according to the teaching?
Acacia.
How many?
Not...
How many?
Oh, how many? Okay. Okay. How many?
I have 6 on my list.
You have?
6, with the exception of moringa. That is not a shrub.
No, I said trees, shrubs, so
Okay.
not creepers.
Okay. Mm.
Mm.
2.
Are you sure? Only 2?
Acacia. Okay,
Mhm.
Luciana. Gliricidia. Maybe 4.
They are 3. They are 3.
Mm.
Acacia, Gliricidia, and Lucina.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
You are not including Moringa.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Now, I want you to note those 3 because they have a special duty, which I'm going to say very soon.
Okay.
You can write down that those three trees or small trees are involved in what we call alley farming, ALLEY, or you can say alley cropping, ALLEY.
Okay.
We will discuss it in detail later. Alley cropping, acacia, Gliricidia, and Lucina. They are nitrogen fixing plants used in alley cropping.
Okay.
Now, alley cropping is one very useful system of farming, which we will explain later. Very, very useful. You will see that the other nitrogen fixing plants that we have mentioned are creepers. Can you get it? Are you there, Puereria? Centrosema, Mucuna. I mentioned that each one of them is a creeper.
Okay.
Yeah. So those creepers are not only nitrogen fixers, but they are also herbicides.
Okay.
Now, who can tell me why they are herbicides?
Mm.
Tonia,
Yes, sir. Because they control weed.
correct. Correct. They are creepers. They are creepers. They cover the ground. In fact, they are cover crops. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
They are doing multiple functions. They are fixing nitrogen into the soil. They are covering the whole ground and therefore preventing other weeds from
Okay.
coming up. Their leaves fall to the ground and get rotting to give NPK. Their roots aerate the soil and bring some minerals from down up.
Okay.
They conserve water in the soil. They create wonderful habitation for earthworms.
Okay.
So you are killing many birds with one stone.
Mm.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Please, can you mention the other two? Creepers, Spiraea, and what now? I didn't get the full list. This ones you are
Malaria.
describing, yes.
Sorry. What did you say about them?
The three creepers that you are describing now, what they do, that are pesticides. No,
I
no,
said they are, no, they are not
herbicides.
pesticides. They are
Herbicides.
herbicides.
Yes, herbicides.
Mhm. And I said they preserve water in the soil.
Yeah. Their names, Piraria, I didn't get the other
Yes,
two.
their names, sir.
Their names.
Yes, in this category, the creepers that are herbicides.
Centrosema, Pureria, and Mokona.
Yes.
Mokona. Okay.
Mukuna.
Okay.
Did you get Centrosema?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have dealt with nitrogen. Let's deal with phosphorus. The main source of phosphorus is granite dust. Not much granite dust is needed on the farm. Very little quantity is needed. Even a bucket full of granite dust can cover an acre. You just broadcast it, that's all. When it rains, the phosphates inside the granite dust will dissolve gradually into the soil. The need for phosphate by plants is not high. The need for nitrogen and potassium is usually high. And then I said another source of phosphorus where granite may not be available is bone meal. Bone meal. All the bones collected in the home can be burnt into ashes. And you use it as fertilizer. On a small scale farm, the main source of potassium is ash, ASH, wood ash. So the burning of byproducts on the farm when they are dry is a good practice. Spread the ash all over the farm. Incorporate it into the soil. If you have only a little quantity, don't broadcast it. Put it as a ring around each crop. Just make a ring around the base of the crop and put a little ash there. When it rains, there are soluble salts of potassium. Now, all salts of potassium are soluble. Those soluble salts will just, dissolve. And the solution will be absorbed by the plant. I also mentioned other things like fruit peelings of bananas and plantains and so on. When they are dry, you burn them. Very rich in potassium. before I forget, where there's a lot of planting of plantains and bananas as a plantation, the dry leaves of plantains and bananas can serve as mulch on the ground. That is again returning potassium and other minerals into the soil, but it does another work. It serves as a weed killer.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Because those leaves are very big, long, broad, when you use them like a mat on the floor of the farm, they prevent the growth of weeds.
Okay.
I have seen this happen in Cameroon and Rwanda. It's really beautiful to see how, those leaves make the ground very, very, very clean. And you can plant so many other things there.
Okay.
And when those leaves get rotten, they enrich the soil. You see, there's a principle of recycling things, not wasting them. Incidentally, the dry leaves of plantain and the dry leaves of banana perform one wonderful thing for the rural farmer if he wants it. Those leaves, when burnt into ashes and used in oil, that oil becomes an ointment for skin diseases.
Mm-hmm.
The potash in it becomes medicine for skin diseases. Again, when that ash from the leaves or from the peelings of the banana or plantain is dissolved in water, the filtrate, the solution that comes as a result of dissolving it, is good for peptic ulcer.
Mm.
It will heal peptic ulcer within a week. Now, this is rural life. It is not only because they can't get money to go to hospital, it is also because it is a better, healthier way of dealing with peptic ulcer. No side effects.
Sir, I have a question. Please clarify. So this one that heals peptic ulcer, the filtrates, is it also from the burnt leaves and
I said the leaf of
banana
banana
plantain?
or plantain.
Mhm. Okay, so the one to supply to the soil, you said if they are burnt,
Which ones?
the banana and plantain, or just fresh. The fresh ones serve as mulch to the soil. I got that. And covers the soil so that weeds can't spread. But this one,
If you burn the dry leaf or
okay,
the peeling of the banana itself,
okay,
both of them contain a lot of potassium,
okay.
and they are healthy enough for making a solution to drink that will
Okay.
heal peptic ulcer.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have dealt with the fertilizers. We have also dealt with a few pesticides, no, not pesticide, herbicides. Pueraria, Centrosema, Mucuna, and the broad leaves of plantain stroke banana. Whilst we are still on herbicides, let me deal with one powerful herbicide, natural one. How many of us have heard of pigeon pea? Pigeon pea.
Yes, I have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have.
Cajanus cajan. Write it.
Okay.
Cajanus cajan. Cajanus. Then the second name Cajan. Cajanus cajan. Pigeon pea. Pigeon pea is a leguminous plant. It is a small shrub, not too tall. So it is a nitrogen fixing plant. You can use it on a farm to fix nitrogen among crops. But it's one of the best weed killers.
Okay.
When you plant them fairly close together, not a single other weed will be able to grow on that plot. Now, it's so powerful that one of the most stubborn weeds in the world is conquered by it. And I used it on my farm back in Nigeria, and it was very effective. You know Imperator cylindrica? How many of you?
Yes, sir.
Spear grass. Do we know spear grass?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's stubborn grass that looks like rice.
With sharp needle-like spear.
Yes, and the leaves are like blade.
Okay.
It has a very terrible
Roots.
rhizomatous root system. And no herbicide is able to conquer it. Now, when you go into any land with that spear grass and you plant Cajanus inside, just broadcast the Cajanus across. The Cajanus will germinate and overpower the root system of that plant. After that season, you won't find Imperator again in that land. So you have reclaimed the land for proper use. Now you can plant Cajanus cajan with corn. You can plant it with cassava. You can plant it with guinea corn. You can plant it with many, of the things we eat as staple food. It will fertilize the soil. Of course, you know that you harvest your Cajanus seed. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
You will harvest your grain. That seed, pigeon pea, is very rich as food. It is very hard to boil it.
Very difficult to cook.
But let me commend it to you very, very well. It's one of the best, foods in the world. Incidentally, I use it. I use the seeds in a formula to help sickle cell disease. to,
Okay.
to treat sickle cell disease. That's the seed of Cajanus. So in families where they have sickle cell disease in the rural areas, feeding people on that particular pea is going to help.
Mm. Mm.
Another form of weed control, which I have found useful, is selecting plants that are able to branch off easily at a low level.
Okay.
They are able to branch into, many branches at a low level, like even 1 foot high from the ground. One of them is a special variety of cassava.
Mm.
If you grow that type of cassava, that branches off very early when it's growing, because of the canopy at the top, all weeds under just die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a natural way of using a plant and using a system to control weeds. No poison.
Mm.
Then another general method of weed control is to plant useful shady crops, and then in between those shady crops, plant shade-loving crops. Did you get it?
Yeah.
If you have planted shady crops in rows, the distance between those shady rows
Mm.
you use in planting your own crop.
Mm.
Because of the shade, and because you planted plants that love shade,
Okay.
other weeds that love light cannot grow.
Mm.
So you find your farm very clean.
Mm.
Now let me introduce you to pesticides.
Okay.
What two plants did I say are in the formula that are for pesticides?
Sunflower
Neem tree
Yes, neem tree.
and sunflower.
and
There's no sunflower in the formula.
Neem
Ageratum
Ageratum
concolor.
conizoides.
Mm.
But you did well by mentioning sunflower, because Ageratum belongs to the family of sunflower.
Oh, okay.
The family of sunflower is called Asteraceae.
Agera.
Asteraceae, and there are thousands of plants that form that Asteraceae. One of them is Ageratum conizoides. Now, let me quickly mention to you a few other members of that Asteraceae family that can be substitutes for Ageratum. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Yes, sir.
confusing you?
No, sir.
No, no, sir.
Okay. Now, Ageratum is used for the formula only because there must be a formula. But there are
Okay.
many alternatives
Mhm.
so that you know the formula becomes very versatile from different places to different places.
Okay.
Let me mention some that are like ajeratum before we go to the method of preparing the thing itself.
Okay.
One of them is called African marigold. African marigold. Marigold is Marigold. Now, the scientific name for that plant is Aspelia. Aspelia africana. Aspelia. Aspelia africana. It grows by the roadside. You see it beautiful with yellow flowers.
Okay.
Rabbits eat it. We will collect it for rabbits. And the leaf looks like sandpaper. Okay. Anybody Google it? Aspelia africana image. Another very good one in the same family, which is also good at pesticide. Are we ready? Can I go on?
Yes, sir.
Tithonia. Tithonia. Tithonia.
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat the spelling?
Tithonia. Tithonia. Tithonia diversifolia. Diversifolia. Diverse.
Okay.
Tithonia diversifolia. Now that plant has become very popular in West Africa. It grows by the roadside very profoundly, and it has big flowers, almost like sunflower.
Okay.
Yellow flowers. It's able to grow to cover many other flowers, many other plants. And the leaves are of different shapes. That's why it is called diversifolia.
Okay.
Diverse leaves. Has somebody Googled it? Image.
I've gotten the image, but I don't know how to share it into the Zoom.
Oh, you are very clever, my sister. I can't even do multitask to look for it while I'm writing. Papa, you're very clever.
Don't worry. The method we will use next week will be different, so we
Okay.
can see all those things. All right. So I'm doing this for you to know that there can be alternatives. You know, if you don't find one thing, you find the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now the Yorubas have given that Titonia a nickname, Derubaiba.
Oh.
It's very, very medicinal against, against malaria.
Okay.
And let me tell you one thing about that family, that Asteraceae family. Every member of that family is antibiotic, antifungal, antiviral. Now that's a big plus for the rural farmer. Antibiotic, antifungal, antiviral. Now, antifungal means it can heal almost all skin diseases. Antiviral means it can heal many virus diseases. Antibiotic means it can heal so many diseases caused by bacteria. So these things we are mentioning are very versatile. Now that is why they are pesticides, And fortunately, they are not poison to man. So when you spray them on plants, although insects and so on will be knocked out, you are not affected. Surprisingly and joyfully, bitter leaf belongs to that family.
Oh.
So you see, your bitter leaf is also a pesticide. Now, if you want to find more about bitter leaf, you better get a scientific name now. Vernonia, Vernonia, Vernonia. The second name is amygdalina, AMYGDA, amygdalina, LINA, Vernonia amygdalina, bitter leaf. Okay, the other pesticide in the formula is Azadirachta. Azadirachta indica. The name.
Okay.
And as I said, the leaf, the fruit, and the bark, all of them are useful. as pesticide. Okay. Now let's go to any questions so far before I go ahead. Any question about what we have done so far? Hello?
Hello, sir. Mhm. Maybe after going over them before next week, questions will arise. But for now,
All right.
I'm
Okay.
trying to follow, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Now let's go to simple systems of farming. Please, I'm dealing with small scale farming. Oh. I'm not dealing with large scale farming where you use tractors and chemicals and so on. I'm not. I'm dealing with what a very poor farmer in the village can do to have enough food on the table without eating chemicalized food from Europe or America. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Mm. Of course, it is something you can do at your backyard too.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to get it clearly, without any apology, I follow the word of God. Can
Amen.
somebody quickly now open to Jeremiah chapter 29? Jeremiah chapter 29. Verses 5 and 6.
Jeremiah chapter
29.
29, verses 5 and 6. Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminish.
Now jump to verse 11.
Verse 11 says, For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
Amen.
Amen.
Look, God's thought for us is to give us an expected end. That expected end is abundant life, healthy life. And the way to do it is what we read in verses 5 and 6. Build houses, make gardens around the house, plant something that you will eat. You see, if you go to some of the rural areas, you will find that That is exactly what some people have been doing for ages, and they are very healthy. They eat directly from the ground around their house, and God turns dust, earth, into fruits, roots, tomatoes, vegetables, mangoes, oranges, and so on for them. So what I'm going to teach now is systems of growing things that will completely satisfy a family. And everything is based on mixed farming. Mixed farming. You can have that mixed farming as a big topic. What is mixed farming? Mixed farming is the art and science of growing crops and animals together. I want to make it very simple. The art and science of growing crops and farm animals together. You see, when you grow crops and animals together, you maintain the fertility of the soil. Number two, you ensure the healthiness or wholesomeness of your crops. Number three, you ensure the wholesomeness of the meat or food products you get from your animals. The flesh produced from the animals, the milk produced by the animals, the eggs produced by your fowls. You are sure of their standard. They are natural. Now, the principle behind this is that you are recycling natural things on the small farm. Recycling. What comes from the plants becomes food to the animals. What comes from the animals goes back to the soil and becomes food to new plants, and the cycle goes on. Meanwhile, you maintain the fertility of that small land. Now, under mixed farming, there are many systems of farming. One of the simplest way of farming under mixed farming is to do crop rotation. Crop rotation. In crop rotation, you divide the little piece of land into a number of portions. And you grow different crops on different plots according to the need of the family. For example, I will recommend, where it is possible, that any piece of land can be divided into 7 portions. Seven portions. You select your 7 major things which you want to grow. And in each portion, you grow a major crop needed by the home. Now, this is subjective. One person may grow different things from another person, but it is according to your need. You can grow corn on one plot, cassava on another plot, sweet potato on another plot, vegetables on another plot, and so on and so forth, beans on another plot. Only for the home. And then you leave one of the 7 plots fallow. Do we understand fallow?
Yes, sir.
That means you don't grow anything there.
Mm.
You allow natural things to grow themselves. Or if you grew something there last year, you don't grow it this year. It's fallow. So you have only used 6 of the plots.
Does this, excuse sir, does this not have anything to do with the year of Jubilee?
That's what I'm teaching.
Oh, okay, sir.
So next year, having harvested the crops you have already harvested, you see, most of the things you are going to grow are anyway going to be annuals. You want food on your table. You are not going to plant cocoa. You are not going to plant guava. You are not going to plant oranges. Let me tell you one thing which you should do with those permanent crops. Have one portion of your land for that, or let them go around the whole land.
Okay.
1 tree of mango, 1 tree of orange, 1 tree of tangerine, 1 tree of coconut. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
Let them go one by one around the piece of land you have. they will produce food for decades.
Mm.
That settles it for an orchard.
Okay.
Now, it is the land in between, within that this and that you divide into 7 if you want to.
Mm.
You can divide them into 4. You can divide them into only 3. But 7 is ideal.
Mm.
Let one of the plots be fallow for a whole year, planting nothing.
Mm.
The following year, move those things you planted one space ahead, including the one you made fallow.
Okay.
Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
And leave one of the ones you planted for last year, leave it fallow. In a space of 7 years,
Mm.
you will have left every one of the 7 plots fallow
Mm.
for a year. And within that 1 year, you will have allowed the whole land to regenerate itself.
Mm.
Each time you move, you make one plot rest a year. Now, within each of the 7 plots you have made, you can now practice interplanting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me define interplanting. On each plot, if you want to practice interplanting, you can grow 2 or more needed crops together.
Okay.
For example, yam and peanuts. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You can make yam heaps of soil for planting yam. And you plant your yam inside the heap.
Mm.
At the center of the heap.
Mm.
And you plant
Okay.
about 5 to 6 peanuts, groundnuts,
Mm.
around the base,
Mm-hmm.
of the heap. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, you can also plant within 2 heaps, that is in the furrow. You can plant within 2 heaps in the furrow, something like okra.
Okay.
It's already 3 plants on the same land.
Mm.
All of them will be growing together.
Mm.
But the time of harvest will be different.
Okay.
The first one you harvest is your groundnut.
Okay.
Your groundnut will take only a few weeks. Another one you will harvest for quite some time is your okra.
Mm.
Because when the okra begins to flower,
Mm.
it will bring fruits. You harvest, it will bring more fruits, and so on, until finally it dies. But it will bring a sequence of fruits.
Mm.
Your groundnuts will only bring one fruit,
Mm.
the nuts.
Mm.
Whilst it was growing, it was producing nitrogen for your yam.
Mm.
And your yam yield will be far bigger than anybody who planted the same yam but didn't plant granules along.
Mm.
Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Because granules is a leguminous plant that will supply nitrogen to the soil.
Mm.
So with intercropping, you gain productivity from the same soil,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very economical way of using the land, managing the land.
Mm.
You are managing resources.
Mm.
But you can also do another type of farming called crop instead of inter.
Mm.
You know, we have monocropping. That is not what I'm advising.
Okay.
Intercropping. We described interplanting, and now
Oh.
we are describing intercropping.
Okay.
Intercropping, you can plant 2 plants in rows. That means you plant one particular plant, and then the next row you plant a different plant. Then the next row you plant the first one you planted, 2 of them.
Okay.
Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
For example, if you planted beans on a plot, the next plot you plant sweet potato.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The next plot you plant beans again.
Okay.
The next plot you plant sweet potato. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
That is intercropping.
Okay.
They stand different, but they stand adjacent to one another.
Okay.
Do you know what is going to happen? The roots of your beans
Mm.
will produce nitrates. Your sweet potato will gain from some of the nitrates produced by the beans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your sweet potato is sandwiched between 2 rows of beans.
Mm.
Are we there?
Yes, sir.
So the 2 rows of beans are helping the sweet potato
Mm.
to get some nitrates just through the soil. That's intercropping. It is different from that interplanting.
Mm.
But they are all good systems of farming.
Mm-hmm.
Another small style is called gallery cropping or boundary cropping. Some people call it companion cropping.
Okay.
That is where you have a main crop and you plant a companion crop that will make the main crop grow better. Companion crop may be used to divert the attention of pests from the main crop. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
For example, if you plant a crop that some particular insects like very much, and they will eat it and consume the leaves or the flowers and so on. But you also know a certain plant that those same insects like, but you really don't need that particular plant. When you plant it along with the crop you want, when those insects come, they attack the one you have planted with the one you want. They attack that one, and when they are satisfied, they go back.
Okay.
They don't get to the one you want because what they met first, they also liked it. If they will do any damage to the one you liked, it will be very minimal.
Okay.
So you call it boundary, eh?
Okay.
You call it gallery. It's like a veranda.
Okay.
One very illiterate man taught me this method in a very practical way many years back. I had been planting sweet potato for years, and I was not getting results because once the roots were developing, storing starch, squirrels and all types of rodents would come and harvest the roots. I will only see leaves. When I go to harvest, I just see leaves. They have already eaten, what was developing. Then I visited this farmer. I just visited casually because his farm was near mine. And I saw big, big, big sweet potato tubers, which he had harvested. He didn't have a degree in agriculture. I had a PhD. But I had to humble myself to learn from him. I said, how did you get this sweet potato? I have tried and tried. He left his hoe and stretched himself and smiled at me. And he taught me one beautiful boundary crop, gallery crop for sweet potato. And I want to pass it over to you if you want to eat good sweet potato. He said, plant your sweet potato at the center of your farm, right at the center. Then plant other crops at the periphery, okay? Make sure that the last plant you plant around your farm is a plant loved by rodents. And that is your fence. Your gallery crop or companion crop should be something very much loved by those pests that will come and destroy the real crop you want.
Mhm.
I practiced it and it worked. I planted my sweet potato at the center of the farm and then planted cassava at the outskirts of the farm. I still harvested cassava, but much of the cassava was eaten by rodents. I didn't mind it because I could grow cassava copiously anywhere, but I needed my sweet potato. Do you know that they didn't come into the farm to eat the sweet potato? Because anytime they were coming, they met the cassava, and animals have the instinct that what they meet first is what they eat. So they will eat to their full and go back. So that is one advantage of companion crop. You plant it to help to keep away pests that will attack your main crop.
Mm.
For those who are not having enough land or enough soil to plant and still want to plant something good for their table, do you know that you can use bags to plant? I mean, either jute bags or any type of, resilient type of bag. You fill it with soil and you plant whatever you want to plant inside.
Mm.
You can prepare manure and add. You can add ash. You can add all types of organic things to make the soil in that bag rich. You can even plant a small tree in a bag. You can plant pawpaw in a bag and harvest. Some people have planted a small variety of oranges and harvested in big bags. All your plant needs is room for roots to develop. And you see, you can control that very well. Those even in cities can make portable gardens on their veranda. You can move it from the rain into a shade. You can move it into the sun. And what do? You can use tires. I mean, car tires. The ones which we are not using for car again. Put a jute mat or bag under the tire. Fill the tire with soil. Good soil. Plant your vegetables. And you'll be having wonderful, healthy vegetables to eat. So these are simple systems of farming. Now, I promise you that I'll say something about alley cropping.
Okay.
In alley cropping, A-L-L-E-Y, your aim is to make your crop receive nitrogen from nitrogen fixing trees. And our nitrogen fixing trees in the formula are acacia, gliricidia, and Lucina. Do we remember them?
Hey, listen, sir.
Hello?
Hey, listen, sir. Faintly.
The names are very, very hard to remember.
So put in that little head, sir.
Then those names are very, very hard.
Mhm. All right.
We will read over, sir.
All right.
Maybe if it is recorded, we can have the recorded something later. The audio, it will help.
No, they are on YouTube.
Okay.
Everything is recorded.
No, the way you are explaining it, sir. The way you are explaining.
Mhm.
It.
Now, let us take gliricidia, for example. Okay.
Mhm.
Gliricidia pinnata. What you do, any of them can grow by cuttings. They can also grow by seed. Gliricidia, for example, will grow easily by cuttings. Just a piece of the stem put into the soil will sprout. What you do is to plant the leguminous shrub in rows. Rows about 10 feet to 15 feet apart.
Okay.
And then in between the rows, that means each plant should be about, say, 3 to 4 feet apart from the next one. That means they are like school children at parade, you know.
Okay, sir.
They are like school children at parade, one after another, but one row about 10 feet from another row.
Okay.
Well, each row may consist about 20 children and therefore 20 plants. That is the leguminous plant, the tree. When they begin to sprout, you now prepare your land in between the rows and plant your crop. The root system of the leguminous plants will grow horizontally underground, and they will grow to try to meet one another. Meanwhile, the plant you are trying to harvest will be a shallow feeder. So the undersoil will be rich in nitrogen, which your crop will be absorbing. But the nitrogen comes from the root system of your alley crop. Your alley crop is gliricidia. which is in the formula,
Mm.
and your real crop in between the rows may be corn or guinea corn or rice or cassava or tomatoes. Are we getting it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we are getting it, sir.
Yes, sir.
What did I say the rows will consist of? Somebody.
Say,
The nitrogen fixing plant
Very
will be in
good.
the rows,
Very good.
and the crop you want to be in between the rows.
Oh, very good. That's good. Now, the soil in between the rows will become rich with nitrogen because of the plants in the rows. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
It is the root system that will supply the nitrogen.
Yeah.
Now, there are many advantages in alley cropping. The nitrogen fixing plants are always evergreen. They don't die. But your crop will be harvested from season to season. Are we okay?
Yes.
Now, if you use Glycidia, for example, to be your alley crop, you don't want it to develop too much to become shady, because if the place is too shady,
Okay.
your sun-loving plant or crop will not grow well. So what you do from time to time is to prune, P-R-U-N-E, is to prune your alley crop. Pruning means cutting the branches, okay? Now, when you cut the branches, let's say every two weeks, you use the cut branches as fodder, food for your goats, for your sheep,
Okay.
for your rabbits, for your chicken, depending on what type of animals you are keeping in your mixed farming. Do you remember mixed farming?
Yes, sir.
Where you raise both crops and animals.
Yes, sir.
So are you beginning to see an economic way of raising your animals? You don't need to go to a shop to buy prepared feed from the UK. Because those feeds are chemicalized and can cause diseases in your body. But your Glycidia is natural. Your Lucina is natural. Your Acacia is natural. And I told you earlier that these farm animals are adapted in such a way that some of them can feed on one plant a whole year.
Yeah.
But you know, they are not even going to feed on one plant a whole year. As you give them your alley crop, you will also have some things from the home, leftovers and so on, which they will be eating. There are also some things that grow around your house that they can eat. There are also things from the farm as dropouts, you know, farm leftovers that they can eat. So there's a variety of things for them to eat. But one thing is that the alley cropping helps in feeding your farm animals.
Mm.
Do you remember that when we planted yam with peanuts?
Yeah.
At harvest, we will have the plant of the peanut, which is very good fodder for the animals.
Mm.
Are we there?
Yes, sir.
So, alley cropping helps your land to have nitrogen all the time. Then some leaves from the alley crop fall to the ground and get rotten. Those leaves supply the land with nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and all trace elements. But the trees brought those things from underground to make the leaves. So you are using your alley crop to draw resources from underground and to bring them to the surface. Another thing is that your alley crop prevents erosion because of the root system. Any questions so far? Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm following, sir.
All right. Those are some of the systems. If we are acquainted with these systems and we think we can pass them over to our people, that's okay. But now let's consider how to make the pesticides. How do you make the pesticide for the crops? Let's say the plants have grown, your crops have grown, they are flowering, and different types of insects are visiting to eat leaves, eat flowers. How do you prevent these insects from damaging your crop? Let's use one of the plants we have mentioned. It's not everywhere that you can get neem, but neem is very common in tropical lands.
Okay.
Many villages have got neem trees. But I would really advise that every farmer should have at least one tree of neem on the compound or on the farm. Fortunately, the neem tree never dies, never. It is always evergreen. Even in the desert, it is one tree that is evergreen. And fortunately, it is one of the most potent pesticides in the world. So growing the neem tree on the farm is a big resource. Let's begin with the leaves. For a small farm, you harvest a few branches of the tree, get the leaves together, have a bucket of clean water, and simply rinse the leaves. Rinse the leaves in the water. Rinse the leaves until the water becomes very green with the sap of the leaves. Leave the thing overnight so that all the ingredients or most of the ingredients in the mashed leaves would have dissolved into the water. The following day, sieve the water. The water you have now is no more ordinary water, but your pesticide. It's as simple as that. The technology is simple. Anybody can do it. And you have no danger of being contaminated or poisoned with any chemical. Go to your garden, whether it is vegetable or maize or cassava or whatever it is. Do you know that you don't need a spraying machine? Go and cut one good branch of the same neem tree. A branch you can hold easily in your left hand. Carry your bucket and go to your plot. And with that branch in your hand, be baptizing every crop. Be baptizing every crop. Just dip the branch into the bucket of pesticide and spray the crop with the pesticide. If you do that every three days, or even at least once a week, you will control most insects that affect farm crops. When you harvest your crop, just wash your crop in water and remove excess of any of that neem tree on your crop. Whatever is left is still okay because it's medicine for malaria anyway. So you are not being poisoned. But you wash it because you want to remove the bitter taste of neem. The substance that is inside it is called azadirachtin. That's the complex compound that kills the insects. But the same thing does not kill you. The same thing heals your body. So you don't have any danger in using the neem tree as your pesticide. If you want to use the bark, B-A-R-K, of the tree, you have to be careful not to kill the tree. There's a method of harvesting only one side of a tree and leaving two-thirds of the side untouched.
Okay.
Just harvest 1/3 of the side.
Okay.
Another time when you are going to do it, you harvest another 1/3 different from the one you harvested at first. That gives time for the first place you harvested to grow back. So by the time you go around the stem, the ones you harvested before will have been restored. Don't harvest all around the tree. If you harvest all around the tree at one time, you will have hit the phloem of the stem and killed it. All right. When it comes to the fruit, because the fruiting is seasonal, it is only during the fruiting season that you can use the seeds as pesticide. What you do with the seed is to actually grind it into a pulp. It will form a milky pulp. And you soak that milky pulp in a quantity of water overnight. When you decant it or sieve it, you will have a milky juice, which is very powerful as a pesticide. As for the bark, which you harvested, you soak it for at least 2 days in water for the azadirachtin to dissolve into the water. And you can use it as well. Any one of them, the leaf, the bark, and the fruit, is effective as pesticide for all types of crops. You can even use this pesticide for fruit trees when they are young.
Okay.
Now, the other pesticide, which we mentioned, is ageratum, with other Asteraceae, which I mentioned, like Aspelia africana, like bitter leaf, Vernonia, like Tithonia. All those belong to the same group. What you use those ones for is to use the leaves. Just squeeze the leaves in water like the leaves of the neem tree.
Okay.
And use the method that we use for the leaves of the neem tree.
Okay.
Fortunately, there are other pesticides which you can use in storage. Because when you harvest your crops, you need to store them from being damaged by insects, weevils, and so on. Let me quickly mention some of the things you can use.
Okay.
You can use ash. Mix your grains with ash. When you want to now use the grain to eat, you just soak your grains in water and wash away the ash. That's all. Ash will keep many, many insects away from your grains because of the potash. Another wonderful one is to dry the leaves of neem under shade
Okay.
Dry the leaves of neem under shade, not in the sun. When you dry it under shade, you preserve the chemical inside it.
Mm.
When it is dry, use a barrel or any good container that can be sealed properly, or you can use pots, earthen pots, whatever is available in the village. Put a layer of the dried leaves at the bottom of the container. And put about 6 inches of your crop, 6 inches deep, into the container. Then put another layer of the dried leaves on top of the 6 inches. Put another 6 inches of the crop on top of that second layer. Continue doing that until you reach the top of the container. When you have reached the top, put another final layer on top and seal the container. For a whole year, your crop will be completely preserved without anything touching them. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
And yet another one. When you have harvested your crop, whether it is beans or corn or guinea corn or peanuts, put a few dry fruits of chili pepper, ata,
Yes.
at the bottom of the container. Put about 6 inches of your crop down there. Repeat the process that we did for the leaves of neem. The pepper is going to keep away all pests from your crop. All these are natural pesticides for a small-scale farmer to preserve food throughout the year. I think we will end here for today.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Next week will be another day. We had only 17 people today. I think you should do some good work by inviting some people who can also pass down the knowledge. Now, this may be a lot of things, but even if you use any idea, 1 or 2 or 3, for our local farmers, it will help them to boost their productivity. They may not be able to practice everything together. But I encourage you to ask questions so that things may be clearer.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
If before next week, if going through the notes and discussion today, if someone has a question, can we post it on your platform, sir?
Yeah, you can. Have I given you my phone?
I think so, because When I sent apology last week, I think I have you on my WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah,
Now.
I'm just talking generally.
Oh, okay. Sorry, sir.
If anybody wants to ask me any question during the week or any time, the phone is +1 267 274 8357. Have we got it?
Yes, sir.
Please, can you come again, sir?
+1 267 274 8357.
Thank you, sir.
Mike Oye.
Please, sir, I have another question.
Yes.
You said we can invite other people to join. Do they
Yeah.
need to send their details to you as you mentioned earlier on? Name
Actually, I
and...
need those details, you see, because it helps me to follow up on people and know how effective they are going on.
Okay.
Or I want the thing to spread down to the grassroots.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I didn't, I wasn't able to participate fully last week. I did not hear that instruction. Please, can you go over it? Because there are a couple of us from Zion World Prayer Missions.
I just need
as well.
some biodata, names, place where the person is, age,